How's it going, everybody? My name is Bo, and I'm a home theater and movie enthusiast. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a pros and cons for the Zidoo Z9X 8K player, but I'm going to be talking generally speaking, pros and cons, including getting and setting up a NAS and the process of ripping physical movies to a digital file onto the NAS. So this is going to be an all-encompassing for basically anybody who wants to take their physical collection, rip it to a storage device, and be able to play that to a video streamer. Specifically for this video, it's going to be a Zidoo Z9X 8K, like I said earlier. I did do a first impressions kind of video after about a month. I'll put a link to that up here. Go watch that because I do a lot more in-depth, like breaking down the whole process and showing the menu interface and stuff. I'll show some of that in this video, but that's kind of a precursor to this. Now that I've had the player for 5 months, even though I was only able to use it for 3 months or so because my JVC projector was out getting repaired for about 2 months. So my use case is about 3 months of watching movies and a few TV series. So it was about 32 movies total, with 15 of those being 4K. And then I watched the season 2 of both The Last of Us and Arcane, all off the Zidoo Player. So with that, I'm just going to get into the pros and cons, and I might do some visual overlays to kind of show what I'm describing. But yeah, let's get into it. And I'm going to start with the cons because I want to end on the positives. So number one is having to rip the movies. And this breaks into multiple categories. One is the time it takes. So it took me roughly 2 months of almost nonstop ripping to do just over 400 movies, and I don't know the exact number of seasons of shows I have, maybe a dozen or so. So it's very time consuming. That for some people might be a deal breaker. For me, I enjoyed it, gave me something to do. I got in a nice rhythm, and also my projector was gone for 2 months, so it kind of helped fill in the time. The other aspect of the ripping is just figuring out Make MKV, which you have to pay a $60 one-time licensing fee. So Make MKV is a really nice program. I'll show some of it on screen. The issue is, or the difficulty comes from different movies will have a different amount of like playlist or tracks, if you will, and you have to kind of figure out which one is the main one and stuff. I'll show a really bad example of a Lionsgate movie, which had like 600 options because trying to prevent copyright infringement or something. I don't know what they're trying to do. I bought the disc. I want to back it up. And then some movies will just have three what look like completely identical playlists, tracks, whatever you want to call them, and you got to figure out which one's the right one. So you got to go on the forums and stuff. So it can be, I won't say confusing. It can just be a pain in the butt. Some movies, like I just did the Lion King, the original '94 animated film on 4K, and all I had was the one option, and once you get into that, then you pick your audio, your subtitles, and all that. So, when it's a simple one, it's really nice. You just hit it, and then you can walk away, come back, set a timer or whatever, and come back. You don't have to sit there the whole time. The other issue is just some of the discs. Either they're scratched, they might have one little tiny scratch, and it gets halfway through, and it just fails. So this is not a con of the player itself. Like I said in the beginning, this is going to encompass everything. What good's a player if you don't have a digital library? So this is, the issues with ripping movies that I've encountered. For the most part, most movies went fine. I either had to really wipe the disc down. I had 3 movies that wouldn't rip, and I had to have my buddy send me the 4K version via Google Drive. So that can be a pain. I would say that's definitely the biggest con, is just getting your movies ripped and also getting the NAS set up and all that. So let's get to the next one. Number 2 is going to have an asterisk next to it, and that is the cost. Now, it's not the cost of the player, because the Z9X 8K is right around $300. That's very reasonable, especially for what it is and what it does and the quality of it. That's not the cost issue. The cost issue is the NAS, really, the storage. So maybe you already have a NAS and you have enough storage, or you just have to upgrade it. This might not even be a consideration. But for somebody starting from nothing, like my buddy Ryan just did, yeah, there's quite the investment. So I mentioned earlier that I got the NAS, the 4-bay NAS, for free from work. I did have to buy a power supply, so I put $29 invested. But it didn't have enough storage, so I had to buy, I didn't have to, but I decided to buy 4 12 terabyte drives, which was $1,000 after tax. I was able to sell the old 4 terabyte drives that came in it for $120, so that helped me save money there. Then disk drive, the Make MKV license, an adapter to hook the disk drive up to my computer. You know, you're talking $216 for that. In the NAS total, I didn't say this, was $884 for me. But that's with getting the drive bay for free. If you were to actually start from scratch, buy everything new or, you know, even used, you're looking at around $2,000 invested with the player, with the NAS, with a Blu-ray drive, adapter, whatever you need, the license for Make MKV. You're looking at about $2,000. So that's a pretty significant investment. And I'll talk at the very end about if I feel it's worth it or not. But yeah, I think that's definitely a legit con. So let's get to the next one. Number 3 is the Zidoo Player itself. There's some issues with matching the movie. So when you rip a movie, you make sure the file name is the name of the movie, and then at the end, when it's ripped, it automatically puts a .mkv at the end because that's the file type. And initially, I had issues with like Dune 2021 matched to the 80s Dune movie, How to Train Your Dragon animated film matched as the brand new live action one. I had Beverly Hills Cop trilogy. All 3 movies matched to Beverly Hills Cop. It wasn't a collection. It was just all 3 movies were in Beverly Hills Cop, and they showed up as A, B, and C once you actually clicked on the poster. So I had to rematch those. Randomly, some didn't want to match at all initially. Forget which ones specifically. That was fine. I could live with that. But after an update a couple months ago, and here's a link to the video that's describing this problem and showing the fix, it was matching my movies. After I did about 300, it started matching my movies to like adult like film. Like one was called Unrated, and like I'd say 8 out of 10 were matching to that. And then all of a sudden it switched to Chinese erotic movies. Again, watch this video if you want to see. I got a fix for it thanks to the forums. But it was just a pain in the butt because I had ripped like 20-something movies before turning the player back on. And then I had to manually move one at a time, a very lengthy and annoying process, all in all. So that is frustrating. I have the fix now, but it didn't help me back then. So yeah, that's definitely an issue. That's, I think, up there as far as the cons. This next one's going to be no 3D playback on the Z9X 8K. I think other players had it because I saw forum posts about people saying it did, but absolutely no 3D playback. It shows the movie poster, it shows it in 3D, but it will not play it in 3D. Now my JVC is 3D capable. I have the glasses. When I use my Panasonic player, 3D movies play fine. So it's nothing to do with the projector not being 3D. It just doesn't play them. It does take the 3D movie and convert it for 2D, so that's kind of nice. If you only have a 3D disc and you want to watch it in 2D, it does do that. So again, not going to be an issue for most people, but for me, definitely worth mentioning. One, I guess, honorable mention is the remote control. While it's nice, It lights up. The OK button in the center, it's a little spongy, and you kind of just have to hold it for a long second to guarantee you're going to hit OK. If you tap it, a lot of times it doesn't register. So not a huge deal. I've gotten used to it now, but just something worth mentioning. All right, so with the negatives out of the way, let's talk about the pros, because I think they outweigh the cons by a lot, and I basically is the reason I decided to keep the player in the beginning. So let's go over them now. The first one is just the quality. I'm talking same as disc quality, audio and video. There's no drop in quality. The Dolby Atmos mixes sound just as good as disc. The image, the quality of the picture is just as good as the disc. It should be, because it doesn't compress it. It just rips the disc in all its glory onto into a digital file, and the player reads it. So it's it's reading it as if it is the file on the disc, and it's just amazing. It's just, there is no difference between the disc and playing it on the Zidoo player. So that's a compliment to the player itself and to the movie ripping process and getting the full quality version of the movie into a NAS and send it to the player. So the next one is just the ease of use. So there's multiple things here. Having your entire collection, to be able to scroll through, that is great. When you actually decide to watch a movie, there's no skipping previews. There's no sitting through FBI warnings and like all the Paramount movies like Top Gun and the Mission Impossible. Some of those take like a minute before you even get to the menu to like start the movie. So with the Zidoo player, I'll show the speed of it right here, but it's takes a few seconds to load the movie, and then it starts to play, and it takes my JVC about 3 to 4 seconds to switch if it's HDR. So it's black screen for 3 to 4 seconds before it pops up. Another part of the ease of use is the resume feature. Just like 3 seconds, movie loads, and then it resumes where you left off. Now, I don't know the limit of how many movies it'll save the resume point for, but I mean, how many movies you're going to have partially watch. I know when I did demos for a video, if you want to watch it right here, had some friends over, I had at least a dozen movies resumed to at a spot for the demo, and it all worked. So just that convenience, it's really slick. I'll get to more about that in another pro later on. And then, I mean, for me, this isn't as big of a deal, but for some people, this is probably going to be the biggest selling point. And that's the convenience of having to not have to get up and put your disc in. For me, I mean, it's right behind this door behind me. My player and my movies are like 5 feet apart, so it doesn't take anything for me to put a movie in. So it's not, the convenience factor is not a huge deal for me, but if you have your player, your movie collection in another room, maybe it's on another level of your house, this is definitely a huge selling point. So, again, for me, it's nice, but it's not, it's not the biggest, most important thing for me, but for some, it might be the best reason to do all this. So with that one, let's get to the next one. So this one's going to sound funny because I just a few minutes ago labeled it as a con, but the cost is my next pro. And for one, the cost of the player, which is a great value, $300 for a player that does all it can do. Nice, user interface, the poster wall, which I'll talk about. When you compare that to the only other competition really is a Kaleidoscape. And for those of you that don't know, Kaleidoscape is a proprietary movie player with storage that only work together, and you have to buy all the movies through their store, which I'm fine with that part, but the price of their storage is ridiculous. So let's compare. Worst case scenario, let's say you need more storage than what I did. A Zidoo player, a NAS, a Blu-ray drive. Let's say worst case scenario, you're looking at $2,500. That probably going to get you probably a 55 usable terabytes of storage. So still a good amount. But let's say $2,500 max, $2,000 min. you got a player, you got a NAS, you got a way to rip your movies. The alternative is Kaleidoscape. So the all-in-one combo pack, it's not all in one, but a combo pack player and 24 terabytes of Kaleidoscape storage right now is $13,000. So that gets you a player and 24 terabyte server that only works with Kaleidoscape. They only work together. If you wanted to match what I have, so the player's $3,000 for a 4K player, so it's 10 times the price of the Zidoo Player. And for a 48 terabyte Kaleidoscape, they call it a Terra Prime server, is $17,000. So you're looking at $20,000 for a 4K player with 48 terabytes of storage, compared to worst case scenario maybe $3,000 if you really wanted like a 6-bay NAS and you wanted to fill it up. You got a huge collection, maybe $3,000. Well, that's a hell of a lot better than $20,000. So while it is expensive on its own, compared to the competition, it's pennies to the dollar. It's a fraction of the price. And with Kaleidoscape, you have to rebuy all your movies, or you have to pay like $5 or something each to turn your movies. You hook up a drive, a Blu-ray drive, you put the disc in, and then you pay, I think it's $5, and you get the 4K version on the Kaleidoscape in your library. So you could argue you don't need all that storage because you just download the movie before you watch it. You could get away with 8 terabytes of storage. Well, that's still like $6,000 or whatever it is. It's still ridiculous. So cost to me is a pro in when you compare it to the competition. All right, so the next pro I have is the poster wall. Now I will show this to help demonstrate, but it's just really slick. Once you have all your movies ripped, it automatically groups them into alphabetical order if you want, and it does automatically put movies in collections. So if you don't want them in collections, it's just a quick little step to disband the collection, but you can create your own collections. You could create a Snyderverse collection. You could create Christopher Nolan collection. You could create the MCU, put every MCU movies in there, and they would be arranged by the date, I believe. Not sure if that's 100%. It might be alphabetical, but I think it would put them all by the date, potentially. So you have all these options to customize your poster wall how you want it. You can change the artwork, the image of your either the collection itself or the individual movie, which I'll show on screen. If you want like your poster to match the 4K steelbook you got, it might take a little searching, but you can find it. If you want your, like I did, Harry Potter collection to look like the 4K set, like the art from that, you can do that. Like, it's really slick. It's really like user friendly. Yeah, it takes some time, but it's all personal preference. If you don't want to do anything, you don't have to. But if you want to have it kind of reflect your personality, like I said, with your collections or what you think is good looking poster art, it's all there for you. It's just really slick. I'm very impressed. Plus, when you click on the movie, it has all the info. It has the director, all the actors. You click on those, and then it tells you all the movies you have with that director and actor. It gives you a bio, gives you photos, which I'll show all that. It's just amazing. Like, it's really incredible. All right, for the next one, it's kind of a lesser one for me, but the ability to just easily play demos. So if those that have a home theater, when you want to show your room to a family member or a friend or somebody, a lot of times they don't want to just sit down and watch a movie. You just want to give them a quick demonstration of what your system can do. And this way you can just, like I said earlier, you can have all the movies prepped to resume where you want. I have a bunch of Dolby Atmos DTS demos on the internal storage, little 30-second things to kind of just demonstrate the audio. All that's just readily available, easy to get to, easy access, quick back and forth. Gone are the days of getting up, swapping out discs, loading the disc up, jumping to the right chapter, fast forwarding. It's just so much better for demos. Now, I don't do those very often, and I'm not one to sit there and watch demos myself, but it's very helpful if you get new equipment and you want to test it out with something Demos can be great for that, and this is like by far the best way to do it. So yeah, that's definitely a nice pro. And the last one is kind of an honorable mention. For me, this was actually like the final deciding factor for keeping the Zidoo Player, because initially I was skeptical. And it's just knowing that all my movies are just kind of backed up. Now, I didn't back up the discs. I didn't do an ISO rip where it just takes the whole disc, the whole menu system, all the special features, and back it up like legit, because those file sizes are way bigger, and then you have to rip them into an MKV to play on the Zidoo Player. So I just basically took the movie, took the best audio track with the English subtitles, and that's what I ripped. And knowing that if I have a disc that gets scratched or stops working, I have all the movies digitally. So it's just a nice way to back up my collection. And another thing was, when I was ripping the movies, I created a spreadsheet, which I'll show here. And it was just a nice way. Now I can easily keep track of my physical collection and the movies I have ripped. And I just have all this information. I can sort them. I can sort movies by the Dolby Atmos. I can sort movies by the aspect ratio, the distributor like Warner Brothers, Sony, all that. It's just really cool, and it's just something I decided to do. I would recommend it. It's just a nice way to verify your collection, and then when you get your movies ripped, if there is some matching errors, I kind of went through on my laptop. I had my spreadsheet, and then I was going through the Zidoo Player, making sure all the movies were there. So overall, all the pros were pretty much related directly to the Zidoo Player, where the cons were, mostly related to everything else. So minus some of the matching issues I mentioned. So it's a great player, to be honest. Like I was skeptical, like I mentioned before. I'm very happy. The build quality's, nice. It's sturdy, and so far everything's worked great. The playback, it boots up relatively quickly. By the time it boots up, the NAS is pretty much ready to go, and I can just watch my movies. So, all right, with the pros and cons out of the way, I'm going to answer the question, was it all worth it? So I honestly haven't thought about the answer. I knew the question I wanted to ask, but I made myself not think about it, because I'm going to just basically come to the conclusion right now. Was it worth it for me? So my total investment, which I don't know if I mentioned, was $13.97. So that included everything I needed: the player, the 4 hard drives, the power supply, the disk drive, the adapter for the disk drive, the license for Make MKV. So everything in total was just under $1,400. And was it worth it? So to test that, I actually went back to using discs for a couple movies, and there wasn't, honestly, just getting up, putting a disc in, not that inconvenient for me. But having to skip through about 7 trailers and then waiting for the menu to load and then booting the movie up, yeah, that was kind of annoying. But actually getting up, pulling the movie out, putting the disc in, not a big deal. So the convenience isn't, it's not like I was like, oh my God, this feels like going back to the Stone Age, except for having to skip through the previews. So the act of physically getting up, putting a disc in, I still like doing that. But having to skip through previews, and maybe some people like watching previews. I don't mind it as much for like a new movie, but for old movies, I don't need to see trailers from 2012. So in that regard, I felt the convenience the most, and going back to having to do that was definitely reminded me of how it used to be. So convenience factor, not the biggest issue for me, but it also, I felt it a bit going back to putting discs in. So then I'm left with the time it took to put all my movies on a NAS, the money invested, and was it worth it? And I'm going to say, yeah, it was, because like I just mentioned, one of my last pros, having my movies backed up, that's a huge perk. Yeah, it takes a lot of time, but I like that feeling of knowing that my movies are backed up. And yeah, I mean, that's really it for me. The player itself is great. The interface is great. Overall, I definitely would say it's worth it. For some people, that price is just maybe too much, or if you had to spend maybe the full price, didn't get a deal like I did, getting a free NAS basically. Spending 2,000, 2,500, or 3,000 for some people, that's going to be too much. I'm glad I didn't have to spend that. If I had, my answer might be different. But as far as for my money, it was definitely worth it. And yeah, I know this was a very long video, so I appreciate you guys for watching. Leave me a comment below on your thoughts on it. Have you done it? Have you ripped all your movies? How'd that go for you? And do you feel like you would recommend this to somebody? I would cautiously recommend it to people, but I would kind of ask, what their situation is. And but at the end of the day, I'm happy with it. I think it was a good investment, and I'm continuing to use it. And every new movie I buy, just immediately rip it. And yeah, so with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you stayed to the end. Leave me a comment. Hit that like button if you like the video, and we'll see you on the next one.